Welcome to ForexTV.com. Today is a Monday, December 1st. I'm Kathleen Reddington with your New York Forex Market Buzz. The dollar is gaining on the pound and the euro, but losing on the yen. And now for a look at the latest headlines from the CEP News Desk. The U.S. manufacturing sector dipped below market expectations to a new cyclical low in November. According to the ISM Manufacturing Survey, the survey's 36.2 reading was below the consensus forecast of 37, marking the lowest reading since 1982. Figures above 50 are an indication of growth in the sector, while below 50 indicates a slowdown. This is the fourth month in a row that the index has come in below 50. And according to the Bank of Japan Governor Masaki Shirakawa, Japan's economy is experiencing a rapid downturn. He feels that his board needs to keep an eye on the downside risks when guiding monetary policy. The Bank of Japan's Policy Board will be holding an unscheduled meeting this week to discuss economic developments. And Eurozone PMI reached a record low of 35.6 in November from October's 41.1 level. Preliminary estimates had pointed to a less pronounced decline of 36.2 for the month. M4 money supply in the UK grew at a rate of 15.3% in the 12 months to October. This was up from both the 15.1% growth rate estimated previously and September's 12.6% print. On a monthly basis, the M4 money supply rose 2.8% in October, overshadowing both the 2.3% rise expected and September's 1.7% increase. Today, we are joined by Vasily Serebriakov of Wells Fargo. Hi, Vasily. How are you doing today?
Hi, how are you?
All right, so China has recently cut their interest rates, and we've seen their manufacturing numbers fall. And very early this morning, the yuan got to near trading limits on the dollar. What does this lower yuan mean for the big picture?
Well, I think I think the numbers this morning out of China certainly vindicate to a certain extent the very aggressive move on interest rates that we saw at the end of last week, and that was the fourth cut in the lending rate since the middle of September. I do not think this changes dramatically the picture for the yuan against the dollar. I don't think we're still looking for we're looking for a weaker Chinese currency. We're still looking for a slightly stronger Chinese currency, and I think we heard some comments from the U.S. Treasury today along the same lines. A modest appreciation in the yuan remains the central scenario for the Chinese authorities.
Now, after the United States manufacturing ISM report, the dollar gained. What do you make of today's U.S. dollar's price action?
I think the risk aversion is definitely back. I think we saw a relief rally last week in equities and risk appetite. I think those moves are being reversed. We're seeing a lot of equity weakness. That's part of it, and the second part, I think it is weak data in the Eurozone PMI numbers in the UK in the upcoming interest rate meetings this week. I think those factors all suggest a return to short-term dollar strength.
All right, and U.S. stocks weren't doing terribly at the open, but they have since started pretty much a free fall. They lost around 400 points, and now they're in the 300 range. The Dow is anyway. This is not really how many people wanted to come back from their holiday break. What do you think is in store for the equities for the rest of the day?
Well, it's the sentiment in equities appears to be back to more negative, and I think. Again, the episode that we saw last week was symptomatic in that there was a brief a rally, but the overall sentiment has not really changed. I think the depth and the breadth of the economic downturn around the world has really been manifesting itself very clearly in the data recently. So that's going to remain the key concern for the equity markets, and I think that's going to continue supporting the U.S. dollar and the Japanese yen.
All right, and the Bank of Japan's governor came out and discussed a fear of deflation amongst his other comments. Now, with all the rate cuts and bailouts taking place worldwide, how warranted do you think his feeling of deflation is as opposed to inflation?
Well, I think the risk of deflation, as the Fed would put it, and I would agree, is small but growing. Inflation is coming from fairly high levels everywhere around the world, so we're not quite there yet. But certainly, if you look in terms of the economic momentum and the kind of slowdown we're seeing, then deflationary risks are increasing. I think that as far as the Japanese yen is concerned, it's likely to remain firm because yield differentials are pretty much collapsing around the world, and I think that this advantage that the yen had in terms of low yields, that's really disappearing right now, and that's going to be one of the factors supporting the yen in our view.
All right, Vasily, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
This has been your New York Forex Market Buzz with Vasily Serebriakov of Wells Fargo. I'm Kathleen Reddington. Join us later this afternoon, 4 p.m. exchange, right here on ForexTV.com.